Hi guys, today we're going to be learning about the Electoral College. And as we're learning today, I want you to think about this question. Should the Electoral College be abolished? We want to remember that our government is made up of decisions made by people. The Founding Fathers were just people who made very good decisions for our country, but we can make different decisions. The Founding Fathers also gave us the amendment process so that if we think that it doesn't work for us anymore, that we can change it. And it is just an interesting way to think about it as we're learning about it. So do we think this is the best way to win the White House or not? The Electoral College. So when you look at this map, this is a map of the Electoral College. It's actually out of date. If you look down here at the bottom of the screen, this is from 2004. And so these are not accurate numbers because the way that they determine the number of electors that each state has is based on the population. And every 10 years, the government does something called the census. And when they do the census, they're counting the population, and then they look and see what the population of each state is, and that determines our congressional representation. Every state has 2 senators, and every state has representatives in the House of Representatives based on its population. So if we look at the numbers, Virginia has 13, so we're kind of in the middle, but California has 55. So that tells us that California has a much bigger population because they have their 2 senators, and then they must have 53 representatives in the House of Representatives. So they have a much bigger number of electors. And these numbers on the map represent the number of votes each state gets for president. Okay, so if you compare this map to the one we have in the back of the classroom, the numbers are different because in 2010, they did another census and they looked at the population and they changed the numbers of the map. But the numbers represent the same thing, which is that they are the number of votes each state has for president. So we should make sure that we have our notes in front of us, and let's look at this too. So the Electoral College is used to select the President and Vice President of the United States. That's the only office that we use the Electoral College for. Every other office that is elected in the United States is done by a popular vote, meaning that whoever wins the majority vote, whoever gets the most votes wins. But that's not the case with the Electoral College. In fact, we will look later on at several elections where the population, the majority of people, have voted for one candidate, but the other candidate has actually won because of the way the Electoral College system works. So what is the Electoral College? It's a group of people that officially elect the president and vice president after the general population has voted. It's just a group of people that go and vote for the president, and their votes are the official votes for president. So what is the Electoral College process? A slate of electors for each state is chosen by popular vote. So on election day, people go to the polling place and they cast their vote for whoever they want to be president. And at the end of the day, the state counts up all the votes, and whoever has the majority vote gets to send their slate of electors. So in Virginia, we have 13 electoral votes, which means that the Democratic Party has a slate of 13 electors, and then the Republican Party has a different set of people that are the 13 electors for the Republican Party. And at the end of the day, if the Democrats win, then the 13 electors in the Democratic slate of electors goes to vote for the president. If the Republicans win, then their group of 13 electors, or their slate of electors, goes to vote for president. But the slate is that group of people, and it's winner take all. So it's not like if there's a 50-50 vote that they send, 6 Democrats and 7 Republicans. It's whoever wins, they get to send all 13 of theirs. It's the winner take all system. Then the electors meet to vote for the president and vice president. You need 270 Electoral College votes to win. So it doesn't matter about the popular vote, but whoever gets 270 or more becomes the next president of the United States. The winner-take-all system leads to the targeting of large states for campaigning. So like I said, there's no prize for second place. You either get the whole slate of electors or you get 0. So if you look at California, it has 55 electors. That is a big prize for the person running for president. 55 out of 270 is a huge step towards winning the presidency. So they will often go to try and win those big states because if they get the popular vote in California, if the Democrat gets it, then the entire 55 group of Democratic electors, their slate of electors gets to go. If the Republicans win, then the Republicans send their 55 or the Republican slate of electors. So they really go after those big states. But they must pay attention to small states whose electoral votes may make the difference in tight elections. And more candidates are coming up with strategies that go after those smaller states. Some states only have 3 electors, but if you add enough of them together, you can get a lot of votes towards the Electoral College. And if it's a small number, like a state that has 3, we know that they have a small population, right? Because they have the 2 senators, and they must have a really small population to only have 1 representative in the House of Representatives to equal that 3 Electoral College votes, that slate of 3. So when we're trying to figure out the electors for each state, we have this equation that the number of electors of each state is based on the state's congressional representation. It's based on who they have in Congress. So the formula is senators plus the number of representatives in the House of Representatives equals the number of electors for that state. We know that every state has 2 senators, so we already have that part of the equation figured out. Then we just need to know the number of representatives and we can figure out how many electors. Or the other way around, if you look at Virginia, we have 13 electors and we know we have 2 senators, so that means that we must have 11 representatives in the House of Representatives. So the requirement that you need a majority to win any electoral votes favors a 2-party system. That means in order for a third party to have any electoral votes, they would have to beat both the Republicans and the Democrats to get any electoral votes at all. So, again, if they had a huge showing in Virginia, unless they beat the Democrats and the Republicans, they would not get that slate of electors from Virginia. Really, this is the reason that we still have a 2-party system and why third parties don't stand a chance for the presidential elections. Let's practice with this idea a little bit. If we look at the state of North Carolina on the map in the back of the room, how many senators does North Carolina have? Well, that's kind of a trick question because every state has 2 senators. North Carolina has 13 representatives in the House of Representatives based on the population that was taken at the 2010 census. So we know senators plus representatives equals, that would be 15 electors, right? Because the senators plus the representatives equals 15, and that's the formula that we use. So if we look at Virginia, how many senators does Virginia have? Trick question. Every state has 2 senators. Virginia has 11 representatives in the House of Representatives based on our population. So how many electoral votes does Virginia have? If you guessed 13, you were right, because 2 senators plus 11 representatives equals 13 Electoral College votes. How about New York? We know that New York has 2 senators, just like every other state, and they have 27 representatives in the House of Representatives. And you just know that because I'm telling you that, or you could look it up someplace else, but it's not like you're supposed to just know that. So 2 senators plus 27 representatives equals how many Electoral College votes? What is the slate of electors from New York? It's 29. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a bit about the Electoral College, and you now listen to the teacher for further instructions. Thank you so much.